Pwede pa ng record, sir.
Pag binabasa ko ng ganyan, Benz, yung does it look like I'm reading it? Pag nakatingin ako ngayon sa script pag ganito. Hindi ako nakatingin sa camera.
Hindi ka nakatingin sa camera. Okay lang, hindi naman So parang blink-blink ka lang. Parang ganun-ganun ka lang.
Okay. Sige, let's go. Let's see. I'll do my best.
Nakikita niyo yung screen ko, yung naka-share na slide, sir?
Yep, yes. I'm opening lang.
Merong dalawang bar sa gilid.
I could see.
Yung black bar.
May black bar sa gilid na.
Oo, may black bar sa gilid. Hindi siya full
kasi yung ginamit ko eh. Kaya medyo landscape masyado. I mean yung aspect ratio. Pero okay na yan?
Pero hindi naman siya. Malinaw naman yung Malinaw naman. Readable naman. Sige, let's start, Vince. I'll start na. Okay with you?
Sige, ano ba yung start? Sige, sir.
Lino ba yung dating ko ng audio? Wala akong headset eh. I'll try to see kung ano yung gagamitin ko na lang mamaya.
Medyo malinaw naman, sir. Mas okay.
Sige. Pero may problema ako mamaya kasi may klase rin si Buwi. Baka lalabas na lang ako ng kwarto. Sige. I'll find the spot na lang later. Okay, let's start, Benz.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be starting. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for taking some time out and being here today with us. My name is Leo Tampok, and I'm the Business Development Manager from Service IT Plus. And for today's session with Benz Badilla entitled Enable Work from Home with Splashtop, we will be taking about the importance of having the right tools in a remote work setup. Before we get started, I'd like to get over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. Our webinar for today is being recorded and will be available for all viewers soon after this session. Benz?
Yep. Sorry.
Paano ba yung transition?
Okay. Dapat dire-diretso lang siguro, wag mo lang tawagin.
Hindi na kita
we'll also be having We'll also be having a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions during the presentation and our demo, just pop them up on the question pane that you can see on your screens. If we ever miss anything, don't worry, because you can reach us through our different social media channels that we'll be sharing later. Now, with further ado, let's start with this webinar. And with Sir Leo explaining more about the importance of the right tools for enabling productivity for your employees.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. So as the pandemic stretches on, employees are becoming more and more accustomed to the work from home arrangement. Economic activities, even when the lockdowns were lifted, show the decrease because of people's fear and hesitation of engaging with others. In an interview last April, the Department of Labor and Employment stated that there are a total of 2,662 establishments and around 70,649 workers that are working from home since the start of the month. For sure, this number has increased as we are still in this situation. But the statistics given that month was enough for the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines to say that work from home is a new normal. Remote work is actually one of the choices of workforce arrangements even before. But because of the pandemic, there's been a surge in the number of remote workers all over the globe. It is undeniable that this arrangement has a lot of consequences when it comes to team management, communication, and accessibility. It can even affect a person's health and lifestyle because of the stress that it comes with it. But according to Lenovo Global Study, around 77% of workers are willing and open to completely working remotely even when the pandemic is over. Employees' willingness to adapt to flexible work arrangements should not only be a reflection of their resilience, but it should also serve as a call for companies to invest in smarter and better technologies for the sake of their employees' productivity outside their offices. This is why Service IT Plus partnered with Splashtop. Okay, describe partnership here pala. Sige. Pwede bang magka-ano ko ng editing ano sa ano, dun sa script na lang. Then I'll add na lang yung describe partnership here. Okay, we
Yes.
have Benz to explain. Sorry.
Describe na lang po yung partnership kasi hindi ko po alam yung parang background ng partnership niyo with
Sige.
Splashtop. So, nilagay ko na lang po yun.
I'll quickly add na lang sa separate sheet. Okay, sige. We have Benz to explain how Splashtop can be the most solution to your needs. Then after nito ba switch kami? Splashtop overview, Splashtop uses cases, site examples.
Thanks, Leo. Para mag-switch na yun.
Yep. Thanks, Benz. Go ahead.
Yep. Thanks, Leo. So it's really interesting to see those numbers that you have mentioned earlier, that the numbers that have adapted the work from home arrangement, and we've seen an increased number due to the pandemic. Wait lang, hindi ko makita yung script. Adjusting. Okay. So before the whole pandemic started, this arrangement was only applicable to certain roles, and those are mostly in IT, sales, and marketing. And there was always an ongoing argument in our industry whether work from home arrangement is really productive. The mindset that the remote workers are not as productive as office goers is still strongly rooted in our industry. But because of the pandemic, we're seeing a change in perception now, and it's becoming a mandatory for us to adopt this new type of work arrangement. In May of 2020, just this year, Splashtop conducted a survey to find out how professionals across industries have transitioned to working remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. And in that survey, 870 individuals worldwide from various industries took the survey. And what we have found out is that more than half of the respondents see that working from home have experienced the same, if not more productive, compared to being in the office. And the reason for that is we have the right technology now to enable this. The people who are productive, based on the survey conducted, said that they have the right tools in their organizations that they can use to be as productive as they are in the office. Those who, the 20.1% who have responded that they are less productive, does not have the right tools in place. If you ask me 10 years ago if work from home arrangement is as productive as being in the office, I would say that it's not even quite feasible yet because we don't have the cloud infrastructure, the remote tools that we need in order to enable this one and enable it easy for our organizations out there. Uh, okay, so from for now, hanggang dun pala yung script ko. So, uh, and as part of that survey, we also conduct. They've also asked like what were the changes in the tools that they use, and we have found out that tools in collaboration and communication have increased uh, more, or even some of the organizations even just started using these tools when they went into the pandemic. And you'll notice here in the graph that uh, the project management tools, the team monitoring tools have decreased in terms of their usage, and now organizations and end users are focusing more of in tools that they need to collaborate and communicate remotely. So okay, and then so I highlighted. So this is the role of remote access solutions. So as part of a communication and collaboration tool as well for our end users, we enable productivity in the organization and help them adapt this new type of work arrangement. As mentioned by Lee, a large number of users here in the Philippines feels that even if the pandemic went away, this type of work arrangement will still be ongoing, and it's right, and it's this is the right time for our organizations out there to start investing and start setting up this type of infrastructure and enable our end users to work remotely. And and so here is where Splashtop Business Access Pro can help you. Wala, hindi pa pala. Sorry. Uh, so why was the collaboration and communication tools was helpful during this pandemic? And there are different use cases that our respondents uh, mentioned in that survey. Most commonly, we see that their main use was to actually remotely access their computer resources. Uh, One resource of having one benefit of the infrastructure in the office is that you have the right servers, the right workstations with the proper power that can run your enterprise applications, your design, ERP, if you're and other specialized applications for your end users. May sinabi si Ann.
Script, ano yan? May binabasa kang script or wala?
Hindi pa siya totally script, parang bullet points pa lang.
If need mo ng help, pwede mong i-ano kay Nibs. I-share mo kay Nibs.
Yung script
Kasi,
ko.
baka mag-PM si Nibs. Baka sabihin madami ka ulit fillers.
Okay, sige.
Baka,
Doon pa lang sa first part yung script hindi ko pa natapos.
share mo lang sa kanya para magawa niya ngayon.
Okay, sige.
Sige, thanks.
And so we also see a lot of use case in our wait lang ah. Okay, so we're also seeing a lot of use case to facilitate. Okay, let's switch on screen. We also see a lot of use case to facilitate remote learning. Teachers use an iPad, Chromebook, or Surface Pro to remote into school computers and conduct their remote lessons remotely. Okay, it can also help them by writing and annotating on the device. Students can access their lab computers, the lab computers in the schools to complete projects, and IT admins can help solve problems that students are having run into during the remote lessons. Okay, and then also say support client computers are IT support is also one of the most common use cases. They use it to troubleshoot, resolve issues remotely into the computer of their end users. Some of the respondents says that it helps them. They use it to help the family members with issue related to computers, mobile devices, and interesting. There's also a set of users who use remote access for convenience. So they work from different places in the house, and they use their iPads to remotely access their work computers. They also use it from their Chromebook and even mobile device. Some users use their iPads and other TV screens as second monitor using cell phones on their computers. Uh, yep. Okay, so switch it. Dito wala pa akong script guys pero I'll show here. This is where Splashtop Business Access Pro can help you. It's a simple, fast, and secure way to remotely access for individuals and for our teams or teams in the enterprise out there. So it provides you with unattended session, but some of the key points that will be helpful for your enterprise users out there is that first, it gives you the user management features, which allows you to assign roles to different users, to different groups in your organizations, and you can assign different devices to those. So you can have a granular control of which devices are allowed to certain users in your organization. We also provide broad device support. This means that you can access your Windows, Linux, and Mac devices from from the same platform. So you could have a Windows or a Chromebook at home or a Mac device at home. And you can also use your mobile device. So any device that's running an iOS or an Android operating system, you can use it to remotely access your computers. And and another feature we're seeing that's very helpful as well for the teams out there is the collaboration tool. So it allows you to multiple two users accessing one computers at the same time. So this will be helpful for if you have a new member in your team that you need uh, to train, to shadow, help him enable during this transition. So two of you can access a computer and you can monitor what he's doing out there, give some instructions and annotations on the screen. And when we say we don't just focus on the functionalities in order to help enable our end users out there with remote access functionalities, we Splashtop also has been used securely by 30 million users out there. And in terms of our security focus, we have a secure infrastructure which we are using, which we are hosting in the Amazon infrastructure. This provides us with a secure network and computing environment. And we don't only limit this to firewalls, the networks. We also have security and other mitigation in place in our application and instance layer. We do encrypt our data flow, and we have other security initiatives like DDoS mitigation and other best practices. We have implemented intrusion detection and defense mechanism in our environment in the cloud, and it's running 24 by 7. We have adapted the best practices in the industry when it comes to cloud application security, stacks, and we're making sure that the security are enforced and fortified on those instances. And for our application security, so this means on our endpoint devices we have multiple layers of security protection. We have included a mandatory device authentication to our endpoints. Two-factor authentication and security gold are available as well. And all of the remote sessions in Splashtop are protected with encryption. That includes TLS 1.2 and 256 AES encryption. So you are rest assured, uh, security, blah, 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 in terms of security, okay? And so with that, I'd like to show you for end users a quick demo of our Splashtop Business Access Pro. Let me just switch my screen here. And same screen pa rin siya. Okay, so nakikita niyo yung screen ng Windows? Wala bang ano?
Meron na.
Color
Pero putol, Benz. Putol yung screen mo, putol. Yung sa ilalim. Hindi ko kita yung Explorer, yung Windows. Yan, kita na lahat buo.
Pero mas okay yata yan. Sige, okay na, sige.
Yung alin?
Mas okay yata
Wala
yung
naman
kanina or mas
magka-appear
okay sa
dyan,
pagdali?
Bes.
Wala namang kalat na.
Wala naman magpa-pop up bigla dyan. Baka bigla may mag-pop up dyan ah.
O mag-pop up si Sai dyan. Yung mga messages mo, baka biglang mag-I love you dyan.
Wala naman, naka-close naman yan. Okay, so again guys, wala pang script pero in terms of so here what you're looking right now is the business application. This will be the user interaction for our technicians out there or our end users that need to remotely access. At first, when you log into Splashtop Business Access, you'll see here a list of devices available for you. So the ones grayed out are currently offline, and the ones in blue, meaning they are online and they are ready to be remotely accessed to. Again, in Splashtop, the process is very simple and very fast. All you have to do to start the remote session, for me, I have to click my device here, and then I have an option now if I want to connect, do a file transfer without even initiating a remote session, or if there's an end user on the other end of the device, I can initiate a SAT session. To initiate the remote session, I just simply enter the connect button. I'm prompted here the credentials that I need, or the rights that I need when I'm remotely accessing the computer. You have an option when setting up Splashtop to disable this, meaning the credentials are already stored and uh, already stored in the streamer client. You don't have to put in the administration accounts every time you initiate the remote session. So this would be helpful if, let's say, your end users doesn't need to know the admin rights of the computer. So once you have inputted your inputted ba? So once you have input your credentials,
Placed in.
you just, sir.
Placed in na lang para kung hindi hirap ka.
Once you
Placed
have
in.
placed in your credentials, so the remote session would immediately start. So once in the remote session, there are other tools that you can use to help our end users out there be more productive during the remote session. First, if there are multiple monitors on the remote desktop, say 2 or 3 monitors connected, so you can switch between monitors using the uh, next monitor action. You also have an option here, what we call a high frame rate. A frame rate toggle. So this would be helpful later on. Let's say if you're doing design, video editing, CAD work, the high frame rate would be helpful for our professionals out there. This would simulate a much more real-time feedback for our end users when they are doing the remote session. So if I switch it to a low frame rate, so most of the common some of our remote access tools out there will only allow you to have a low frame rate in order to save bandwidth, and this would be very unproductive for our designers out there. Some quick actions. Let's say there are end user, or there's a user at the end of the workstation that you need to prevent them from using the workstation or prevent them from interrupting with your remote session. So you can blank the screen for them, or even lock their keyboard and mouse on their end. And this will allow you to have a dedicated access to this remote computer as well. Uh, Session recording. This could be helpful if you want to record whatever you're doing out there for review, or you need to send it out to a colleague later on, just to see what have you done in the remote system. The recording will be saved on a file on your local computer, and it's up to you if you want to share it through your other collaboration tools out there. And the chat is available here as well. This will initiate a such session using the streamer client and help work your way with your end user. So again, very fast, very simple remote access solution for our business users out there. In terms of what we can do, so I'll also show you some of uh, administration tools. Hindi lang siya nakalagin right now. Oh no. Since Splashtop Business Access Pro, as I said earlier, is intended for our teams out there, so you still have a audit history on your portal for our administrators out there, where they can see what sessions has been happening. They can filter it out or list down the for it to a specific type of session, if it's attended or unattended. Uh, they have a history of what has been done in the uh, an audit log of what has been done in the administration in terms of what has been changed, what are the attempts in terms of login and authentication, and of course, you also have a granular uh, settings here where you can set what are the devices being allowed to a certain particular team, create multiple groups in the system, and assign those groups to a specific set of users. So you can limit them on what devices they have control. And for our users out there, you can also have a granular management in terms of what will be their access during a remote session. Do you allow them to have a file transfer copy? Do you allow them to remotely print, uh, capture the screenshot, or the screenshot of the application, and so much more? Of course, if you want to have a more security in place, you can also enable the device or browser authentication and enforce them to our end users out there. In terms of deployment, you can create multiple package, as I mentioned earlier. Here you can set uh, if the client will, let's say, auto run. You can set the credentials. If there's a special network access that needs to be implemented on this type of device, you can also set it up here. And from that package, you can now simply deploy this one, download the Excel file and share it to, or deploy it using your own asset management tools in your organizations. So this will help you quickly adapt and quickly set up your infrastructure, deploying the agents in our okay. So that's a quick demo of our Splashtop remote access. Leo, do we have some? So we'll now switch to our questions. If there are other questions from Leo or from our attendees out there.
Yes, Benz. Sorry, yung cam ko, ang tagal magano kasi naka-chroma cam. Pero mamaya hindi naman ako magko-chroma cam. Yep, we have a few questions that was raised by our audience. Guys, question lang on the script. Yung kasi may two question yung two initial. I heard that we need the VPN, and what advice do you give companies? That's a question from me that on the script, right? Hindi coming from the audience, tama?
Opo.
Oo.
Yes,
And
sir.
then,
Parang
kumbaga this
siguro pwede mo
question
sabihin na
talaga
parang
would happen after all the demo na ginawa na ni Benz.
yep.
Ang intention ng dalawa, tama?
Meron pong part
Opo.
na pwedeng
Sorry?
Parang siguro
meron
pwede mo sabihin, sir, na parang before we move to ano, parang just some questions, sir, parang from you siguro
Oo,
we have
exactly.
customers out there that still using VPNs. Is this really parang ganun?
Yeah.
It depends na lang kung paano mo siya i-answer.
Sige. So I'll
Sige.
just follow na lang this yung question din. No? Okay. Okay, thank you, Ben. So I have a few questions for myself to you, Ben. So I heard that we need a VPN for my employees to work remotely. Is that true?
That's actually a very good question. So a lot of organizations out there are still using VPN when it comes to deploying or enabling their users. VPN are actually very expensive to set up and maintain. So there's a lot of configurations needs to be in place, and if not configured properly, there could be a significant security risk. So you could look at other reviewers out there or other studies comparing the security risk of a VPN. Again, once we have enabled VPN, most of our organizations will be using an RDP or a VNC, which again also has their own security risk. If employees access our corporate network via VPN from home computers, and their computers are infected with a virus or ransomware, this could compromise the home computers or the computers in your organizations. And with VPN, we don't also offer or have the same level of granular access, control, and management that dedicated remote access solutions can offer. So with again, unlike RDP, which offers slow, sluggish connection over VPN, our offering Splashtop works very well or very optimized. You don't need to answer your question, Leo. You don't need a VPN access, and we encourage as well for organizations out there to move away, setting up a VPN. Again, the key differentiator is in terms of management, cost, and security risk. You are much more better to having a cloud remote access solution and in your organization again.
Okay, thank you, Vince. That's very precise. Another question is, what advice do you give companies setting up remote access for employees for the first time?
Uh, well, actually, it's actually very unfortunate sometimes that it takes an emergency to spur businesses to improve their technology infrastructure and update their work policies. Without COVID, COVID has made a lot of us more aware generally of how we need to be more flexible in and how we need to enable our people to get work done. Remote access is a critical tool that organizations can use to boost their resiliency and support. And I think the key here is advice is to look at the business continuity of our organizations in these times of pandemic. So COVID isn't the first global crisis that we've encountered in our time, and I'm sure bet it won't be the last as well. So beyond supporting business continuity, remote access can also help our organizations out there diminish the time and stress for long commutes. So it can we support our employees have a work-life balance and help attract and retain your generations of workers in our organizations who embrace this uh, important lifestyle attribute. So for our organization out there who doesn't want to left behind, want to still continue despite the pandemic that we're experiencing right now, it's time to take a look remote access solutions, start investing, start setting up their infrastructure in your organizations.
Okay, thank you, Vince. I guess we have some questions from our audience. So the first question is, can multiple users access the same computers? I mean,
Yes, so actually, so that's the one of the key highlights as well of the Splashtop Business Access Pro. With Pro, two users can access one computer at the same time, and this now will have this will allow you again to both users see the one screen at the same time. Any annotations, any movement, any configurations done by one user will be visible as well to the other user. As I mentioned earlier, most of these use cases has been used in terms of training and enablement between teams, sharing content between teams as well, and so yep, it's very possible as well.
okay, thanks for that, Vince. Another question from one of our audience: how many computers can I access at once?
So with Splashtop Business Access, if you're using Splashtop, the business application on your computer, so you can access as many as you can, up to 10 uh, for one user. Unfortunately, for mobile devices right now, it is still limited to only one session per one user. Uh, but again, for if you're using it on a Mac computer or on a desktop, you can access up to 10 sessions simultaneously at the same time.
Okay. I guess I'll read two more questions. So how will I be able to manage what devices my team can access?
Yes, so you do have a granular control over and management. Again, this is one of the our key differentiator when it comes to how we compare ourselves with the traditional VPN or allowing users to have an RDP access over your internet. With Splashtop in place, with a remote access tool in place, so you can now set up. Let's say you can group devices. Say this is your marketing workstations, this is your IT workstations, you have your finance workstations, and then with those grouping you can assign them to certain groups of users as well. So your finance team, an IT team, and you can with this implementation you can rest assured that the users can only access the devices intended for them, and you won't have problems if or risk of having them uh, uh, other users accessing the finance documents or finance computers as well. And not just by team, you can also granularize this one for a specific user. Let's say one user can only access one specific device. So you can drill it down to a singular level as well. Yeah, but good question.
Okay, thanks, Ben. One last question. How much investment is needed for Splashtop? I guess I could answer this question from the user. So to give you the best value of or for Splashtop, we do bill annually. It is priced monthly, but Splashtop billed it annually, so we could give more discount, or we could give more value to the solution that you are trying to buy. Also, it really depends on the requirement. So Splashtop has a lot of different modules available, and it depends on the requirement. And then by identifying that requirement, we could guide you which solution best fits you, and then it is billed annually to your organization. Okay, I guess that was the last question from our audience. It looks like we've covered all our questions. So to wrap it all up, thank you everyone for attending today's webinar, Enable Work from Home. Once you leave today's webinar, you will be receiving a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's webinar. You can reach us through our website, www.serviceitplus.com, email us at inquiries@serviceitplus.com, or call 0915, number ko pala to, 0915-613-7733 for inquiries or meeting requests. You can also reach us via our different social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also watch our previous webinars on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for our upcoming webinar with LastPass. This will be Sherwell. Stay tuned with our upcoming webinar with Sherwell. So much more. Save your spot by registering now through the links we have provided in our newsletter. On behalf of Service IT Plus and our presenters all the way from wala na yun. On behalf of, thank you for joining us. Tanggalin na lang natin yung on behalf of Service IT Plus and presenters all the way from Germany siguro. Through the links we have provided in our newsletter. Tapos, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day. Yon.
Great rest of your day.
And have a great rest. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest.
Pwede pala sir, insertan mo konti before ka nun sa dun sa
Saan?
yung parang pwede natin silang invite and mag-trial. So siguro dun sa insertan mo ng Benz, any last remarks you want to say to the attendees today, parang ganun. Tapos sabihin ko na for
actually si Mivs is
if
on
you wanna try.
the document eh. Mivs, can you add na lang na a script there where they could inviting them to go to our website and then register for the trial.
Sige pa, Sep.
Ay, sorry.
Lagay ko na lang.
Dito siguro.
Sorry. Yun. Ay, sorry Split. Okay.
Benz.
Yes, Anne. Anne?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Anne.
Yes, Ann.
Ben, share mo na lang yung slides mo. Tapos kung ano yung kulang, doon na lang. Complete na ba yung slides mo? Kasama yung mga
Yung lang pala yung social links, yung reach us.
Oo. Share mo sa amin yung yung nasa Google Slides pa yan.
Google Slides.
Oo, para kung ano yung kulang, itagdag namin.
Sige. Thanks, Mivs. Thanks, Anne. We give
Kaya
just
po yung mag-invite again for the demo po?
We'll do our best
May sinasabi
Yung
ata
script ko
si
yung
Mims.
to deliver the
Ay,
script.
yes, ma'am.
Sino po yung mag-i-invite po for the demo? Si Sir Benz po or si Sir Leo?
Ako na
Sorry,
lang
say
for
it again.
yung sa trial. Invite ko sila for trial.
Okay po. Sige po.
Benz, yung script mo share mo para matulungan ko ni Mims.
Okay.
Baka mag-PM sa akin si Miss Jean eh. Tanungin ako.
Hindi ba masyadong parang halatang nagbabasa? I mean, for me, Anne or Mibs or Benz. It's too obvious that I'm reading.
Hindi
Pero
naman, i-maintain nyo
nasa
lang
left
po
side.
yung tone na parang conversational.
Hindi
Hindi
lang
naman.
to na parang conversational.
Hindi. Ano
Oh
po?
my God.
I mean, i-maintain nyo lang po yung ganong tone. Na parang
I-maintain.
kinakwentuhan nyo po sila.
Okay. Sige. I'll try my best. Sige. Kwento. Wrap it all up. You're everyone for attending today's webinar. Enable work from home. It's Splashtop. Once you leave today's webinar. Okay. Anything else, Benz, on your side?
1:30 tayo mag-login mamaya, sir, or 1?
The earlier the better, Benz. Para kung may mga
1 na
concern.
lang.
Oo.
Sige.
1:30, I'll log in na.
1:30, okay.
Tayong dalawa lang naman. Ay, hindi, magla-login din pala si Anna. So, sige, 1:30, kahit tayo. Then sila Anna. Depends kung 1:45. So yung link, same link ang gagamitin ko, Benz, no? Yung sinend mo.
Dapat may na-receive kang email, sir, na you're invited as co-organizer. Para
Tama,
sure.
yun nga. Ito rin yun eh. That's the same link that I
Dali.
opened. Tama, no? Sige. And anything else for Mibs?
Wala naman, sir.
Ikaw, Benz, ano ba? Is there anything else?
Wala naman, sir.
Sige.
Sige. Inisip ko yung questions within within my presentation. Mag-iisip ako, sir. Kung
Questions
may
within your
magandang
presentation are related.
parang yung during ng presentation, sisingit ka na, Bench, a quick question for ganun.
Actually, yun nga yung inaano ko eh, kung merong kailangan ganun. Kasi may dalawang question na, kasi meron ako, right after your demo, yun yung may dalawang question eh. So naisip ko, baka pwedeng ipasok na lang natin to in between your demo.
Saan yung queue?
I heard that we need a VPN for my employees to work remotely. Thus, what advice do you give companies setting up remote access? Isingit mo na lang tong dalawang to doon sa demo mo. Kasi I need to find the cue when to insert or when to interrupt for the question. Pwedeng ano na lang sabihin mo, pwedeng mag-start ka about VPN and then just ask any questions. Hindi pala pwede, no? Kasi nga hindi nasa.
Dito siguro sa sa 30 sa security, pwede mo itanong yung about sa VPN. I-rephrase na lang natin yung questions,
Sige, let me know kung saan ako sisingit lang. Pwede mo naman pag-isip ka, then let me know before 1:30.
Yep, sige, sir.
So yung dalawang questions dito, isisingit na lang natin in between your demo. And then after nung demo, all the questions parang planted na lang from the audience. Pero I'll prioritize if there are actual questions from the audience na lang. Kung wala, then that's the only time I'm gonna read the questions, yung planted questions natin.
Yep.
Okay.
Ikaw na rin, Benz, ang share ng slides. Kaya naman. Kailangan mo ba ng
Yep, kaya naman.
Okay.
Mas maganda na si Benz kasi nung last time, pag iba, mahirap eh.
Pag hindi gamay.
Pag magpapalit pa ng slide.
Okay.
Okay? So yung isang last na ipa-finalize lang natin, Benz, before the 1:30, communicate mo na lang sa akin where to insert the 2 questions
Mm. Mm.
during your demo.
Mm.
Okay, Docs?
Yan.
Okay.
Sige, sir.
Sige. Thanks, guys. Mibs, Ann, salamat. Thanks for your help.
Thank you po.
See you again later. Salamat. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes, thank
guys.
you. Say hi to Tito Benz.
Hi, Bowie.
Yeah. Wala pa yung start ng isang school mo?
It's science next.
It's science next.